Hello again, everyone. Deflect here for But Fair Gaming. There's been some data mine class changes and spell changes on the PTR. This is on the patch 11.05 PTR, Druid, Druid buff, Warriors nerf. This is going to be crazy because if this is true, Warriors are getting the worst shit end of the stick I've ever seen in my life. This is Warriors in Keys, Mythic Plus Season 1, 80th percentile. You know, even if you go to the 90th percentile, Warriors are still in the bottom 25%. This is Raid, so this is 90th percentile. Arms Warriors catching up because Fury Warrior is way down here now. It's just insane. Just insane. So, we're gonna check these out and see if this is true. Demon Hunters. Transform demon form. I don't see the change here. There's nothing changing. I don't see it. Balance of all things. Druids. Obviously this is Boomkins, and it is increasing its spell by 4%. Was 16 going to 20. Entering Eclipse. Increase your crit chance by an extra 2%. Was 8, but now it's going to 10. And entering rank 2, entering Eclipse goes from 16 to 20. So it's getting a little 2 and 4% increase there. Circle of life and death removed. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I always ran with that spell. It was a great spell. Both for almost every druid class, it was good. So they're removing it. That's very, very interesting. So they're probably buffing this to buffing everything to mitigate the decrease of circle of life and death being removed, because that was a you deal all your dots in 15% less time, and you do all your hots in 15% less time as well. So it was a very good talent to take. New Moon increase was 258.6, now going to 285. Rattle the Stars was Star Surge and Starfall deal 12. Oh, now it's 10. So it's a small nerf of Rattle the Stars. Going from 12 to 10. Sunseeker Mushroom. Sunseeker Mushroom has a chance to grow a magical mushroom at the target's location until canceled. Now it's 1 second. So, okay. So I changed it so it's just a 1 second instead of you having to, looks like, hit the button again. Umbral Inspiration, consuming Umbral Embrace increases damage of all your dots, it looks like, by 35%, now 30%, so there's a nerf there. And Whirling Stars, cooldown is reduced to 100 seconds and has 2 charges, but its duration is reduced by 20%. So that's interesting. Before, this is kind of interesting. So the cooldown is reduced. It used to be 75 seconds and has 2 charges, but the duration is reduced by 40%. Now the duration goes up, looks like 1/3, but the the actual cooldown is reduced by, it looks like a 1/3 nerf, but the duration is actually increased by about 50%, so double the increase. So you're going to get a 20% reduction. So it's kind of up and down on that one. So that one should be very interesting. You're not losing much time on it, but it is a longer cooldown. Feral getting Wild Slash is getting buffed by 15%. So that is swipe, thrash damage. Looks like swipe, thrash, and brutal slash. Hero talent, Starfire deals 80%, now 100%, so a buff there. Increased damage to its primary target for Lunar Calling. More Feral. Shred the target, causing, oh, this is a huge buff to Shred. Instead of 133%, it's 160. Rake's a marginal increase here. It looks like Rake the target for 29. It's a 1.4% increase on attack power and a 7.1% increase on bleed. Hunters. Hunters, hunters, hunters. Wow, did BM ever fall off drastically? Casting Cobra Shot increases the damage by 25%, stacked up to 4 times. And it's a nerf. Sort of, I guess. Upon reaching 4 stacks, the bonus is removed and you gain 8% increased pet damage. So I guess no, never mind. That's actually a never mind. That's a buff. I read that wrong. I forgot to get in here. That's actually a pretty big buff for them. Survival, reduce the remaining cooldown of wildfire bombs by 3 seconds for each target hit, up to 15 seconds. Was only 5 seconds. Interesting. Interesting. That's a very good good buff there. Sikkim. What is this? The value went. I can't see what this is. Is that an 8? Looks like an 8 to 5, so maybe a little bit of a nerf. I can't see what it is, though. It doesn't really say. Dark Ranger. Your auto shot has a 15% now 20% chance to grant death blow, so buff there. Shadow Dagger. Disengage, release a fan of Shadow Daggers, dealing 0.5% of attack power. Yeah, that's pretty much dog shit. It was 5%, so that's garbage. This one again, I can't really see what it does. It doesn't really explain it, so we'll skip over. Fire Mage. Damage modifiers. Looks like they're going. You're getting modified from 6 to 3, so a 3% nerf on Fire Mage. Looks like on almost everything. Explosive ingenuity. Your chance of gaining lit fuse consuming hot streaks is increased by 1% to 4. Living bomb damage increase from 25 to 50. So they're doubling the living bomb damage increase again because they nerfed the ever living fuck out of this talent in pre-patch and have been slightly buffing it ever since. Here's an idea. Don't fucking nerf something into the complete ground and you won't have to keep revamping it because no one's playing the talent. Explosive casting combustion grants lit fuse and living bomb damage increased by 40%. Now 30% of while under the effects of combustion. So a nerf there. Lit fuse consuming hot streaks has a 4%. Now it's a 6% chance to grant lit fuse, so 2% increase there. Sparking cinders, living bomb explosion have a small chance to increase the damage of your next pyroblast by was 10%. Going to 15 or Flame Strike. So they are buffing Pyroblast but nerfing Flame Strike in the Sparking Cinders. Flame Strike is doing tremendous damage right now, so it's actually a button you hit again. Unlike last, I believe, couple seasons of Dragonflight, you weren't hitting the button, you were just using Pyroblast and not Flame Strike because Flame Strike was just a shit button to hit. Burden of Power, Arcane. Conjuring a Spellfire Sphere, increasing the damage of your next Arcane Blast was by 30. Now it's 20. So a nerf there. Conjuring a Spellfire Sphere increases the damage of your next Pyroblast by was 15. Now it's 20%. So it's a or your next Flame Strike. Huge nerf there by 50%. Was 60, now 30. So again, Burden of Power, nerf for Arcane, nerf for Flame Strike, buff for Pyroblast. So it looks like they want to go back to the Pyroblast fucking gameplay. Gravity Lapse. Your Supernova becomes Gravity Lapse. Snap your fingers, warps the gravity around you and your targets. And it's see what it was 7, now 4 other nearby enemies. So it's a huge nerf on Gravity Lapse. Fire Frost. We're gonna say it is net buffs on all Fire Frost for fire, excessive fire for fire. That is all going up. Frostfire Infusion also going up 30 to 45, and the other fire excess fire was going from 100 to 125. Frost Splintering Orbs. Enemies damaged by your frozen orbs conjure 1 frost splinter up to 6. I think okay, the first enemy Arcane Orb conjures 2. Enemies damaged by your Arcane Orb conjure. Okay, so this is instead of the first enemy hit by your Arcane Orb, conjures 2 splinters. Orb, it's enemies. So any enemy hit by your Arcane Orb conjures 2 arcane splinters up to 6. So a little twist on that ability. Unerring Prophecy, Arcane. Each time you conjure an Arcane Splinter, increase the damage of your next Supernova. It was 16, now it's 20. Stacks up to 30 times. Windwalker Monk. One day Blizzard will fucking learn, but probably not. Every every year Windwalker gets buffs to Blackout Kick, usually Rising Sun Kick and all that shit, because they have not done it correctly in the past. They're starting to work on it, but we'll see. Windwalker Monk. So it is Auras applied, modified damage, healing done, plus 10 and 32% to Blackout Kick. Looks like on both aspects. So there you go. Flurry of Zuen was 20%, now going to 28% of attack power. Some nice little buffs there. Shadow Pan, hero talents. Flurry strikes increase your agility by 1% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 20 times, was 6 seconds. So that's a nerf there, but they are buffing the damage done at the instant time. Every attack is X instead of 4.25, it's now 6.25 for each 240 you spend. So nice buff there. Unleash all flurry dealing. Now it's okay, so it was 65, now it's 60% attack power, physical damage per charge. So it's, I would have to do the math, but it's going to probably net out very close to each other. Wisdom of the Wall. Every 10 flurry strikes become infused with Wisdom of the Wall, gaining one of the following effects. For now, it's 16 seconds. It was 20. So a, pretty substantial nerf there. Prot Pally. Yeah, Prot Pally's getting a whole bunch of changes coming up. Coming up in 11.0.5. They're actually going to rise in the ranks quite a bit. Looks like a lot of things are getting buffed by 20% here. All the aura effects. Yeah, it's all just a 20 modifier from 0. So looks like they're all getting buffed there. Seeing what we got here. Not really much. Rock Flex Chains, take melee, take so it doesn't really say the buffs modified too much, so I'm going to skip over that. Sub Rogues. Symbols of Death have 1 additional charge and increase damage by an additional 3%. So Symbols of Death has increased damage by 3, and then rank 2 by 6. So some nice little buffs there. 12 seconds to lash out at 12.1% attack power. So that's getting buffed. Shadow Blade's getting nerfed by, was 20 seconds, now it's 16. But on the other hand, First Dance, your next Shadow Dance by 4 seconds. Okay, so you're getting a buff to First Dance, but a nerf to Shadow Blade. Shaman, Chain Heal mana cost reduced by 10%, and Chain Heal increase the initial healing of your next Riptide by 75%, stacking 2 tides. Okay, so reducing the mana cost. They chug through mana. I don't know if it's really any different. No, it's the same thing. I don't even. Oh, that's all Shaman now. It's going to be restoration only. Okay. Old. Others changing the names on it for demonology. Adding new effect and new wording. Adding new modifiers, new effect, new wording. Warriors. Warriors have been shit on since Heroic Raid. The worst time to do any tuning is Heroic Raid, because everyone on the crazy Race the World First will be able to pump out some stupid numbers with all their classes. Just going through and trying to get geared, just messing around. And you should never tune on Heroic, because it just doesn't work. Mobs die pretty quick. Some classes might be set up on CDs different than others for all the mobs dying so quickly. Worst tuning change you can make is during Heroic Week. It should never be done, but they do it, and they did it again. And Warriors got the worst end of the stick on this one. And let's see what we got here. Assault on the target in a Bloodthirst Craze, dealing. So you're getting a buff to Bloodthirst, a buff to Raging Blows. Hero talent, Colossus increases the damage of Rend and Deep Wounds by, was 2, now it's 3. And I don't believe anyone plays Colossus, so this is like negligible unless you're playing prot. Total damage to prevent ignore pain increased. So it's a buff to ignore pain on Colossus. Slayer. Each strike of Bladestorm deals an additional 15% splitting across. That's a huge nerf. Arms. Your next overpowered deals 25% instead of 30. And 25% instead of 30 additional crit damage. Huge nerf. Flurry or Fury. Raging Blow now deals 25% additional damage and 25% additional crit. Huge nerf instead of 30. Overwhelming Blades. Each time Blade Storm applies overwhelm to all enemies affected, increasing damage you deal to them by 1% for 20 seconds. Max was 12 stacks. Now it's 10, so that's a flat 2% damage nerf as well there. So, again, they're buffing the one hero talent that nobody plays. I guess a marginal, very marginal increase to their damage here. Very marginal. I believe Crit Cake said it's like a 0.25%. And Crit Cakes, is, if you don't know, is one of the best warriors in the game. And they are getting absolutely trucked down in the Slayer talent. So, Warriors shit on again. Boomkins, some buffs, and just a little bit of damage modifiers for everyone else. If you have any questions, as always, leave a comment below. Like, share, subscribe. Deflect, Firm but Fair Gaming. We'll see you in the next video.